Coming up on Bear News, students voice their concerns about the impending layoffs.
And we have the details to help you get your cookie fix.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Bear News. I'm Austin Sack.
And I'm Trey Crocht.
Students, faculty, and staff told the UNC Board of Trustees what they think of a new staff reorganization plan that will result in layoffs of classified staff across campus. The hearing came at a public board meeting February 14th. Bear News reporter Jordan Good takes a closer look at the situation and what the Bear community had to say regarding the budget cuts.
You would think Valentine's Day is a day for love and positivity. However, that was not the case for the hundreds of students and faculty members who attended the Board of Trustees meeting.
With these cuts and you implementing this new system, you will make our lives harder and you will make faculty's lives harder. I just think it's a slap in the face to constantly hear how you value students, you value our faculty, but then I keep hearing, oh my God, we don't have enough money, the deficit, we keep going into our cash reserves, but yet here we are, we just hired a new football coach, and he's getting paid more than the last football coach, and we released the last football coach early, so we have to give him severance pay.
These were the words expressed to President Feinstein and his colleagues as they determine which positions they will cut and which they will fill. Many beloved students who are part of the Jazz Studies Department expressed the impact Kelsey Sheba has made throughout their entire UNC experience. UNC student Gage Bowes has been keeping close watch on the decision-making and thought some comments on the previous public comment meeting were, I guess, interesting.
From a practical standpoint, I think it's an atrocious plan for the day-to-day operations of the university. And also from a human standpoint, I do think it's a part of a pattern of disrespect that's shown to both employees and students.
If you stab your people in the back enough times, eventually the knife turns to you. And I will say, your tenure as an administrator is going to be much easier if you don't have people upset with your leadership and calling for your removal.
When Bowes continued with his speech, one of the cabinet members cut him off and stated it was over his time limit. And yet the students spoke up and told the board to let Bowes finish speaking.
Please finish it up. Okay, well, what I'll move directly into is if we're looking for possible cuts, obviously D1 sports.
But I think that better options are available. I think that a lot of them have been discussed in both this and the other public comment meetings, and I'm hoping that they're listening to the wonderful ideas their staff and faculty have had.
This $10 million deficit has been ongoing for a few years, and the board must take action accordingly. Reporting from the campus commons, I'm Jordan Good, Bear News.
Final decisions on what positions will be cut should be announced by mid-March.
Student Senate amplifies voices and concerns from the campus population. And as Bear News reporter Holly McKibben tells us, with news of the layoffs and restructuring, the Senate found plenty to talk about.
On the top level of the University Center, the atmosphere is charged.
Michelle Quinn is the Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, and her job is to manage the money. Do you all know what we're in right now? That's wild, huh?
We were all fired up walking in here, but now you see these conversations happening.
Student Senate invited others to join them for a casual conversation about the university. What they could not have anticipated, however, was that their event would precede the reveal of 65 layoffs this spring. Monday, 2 days prior, hundreds of people responded by flocking to the UC during a faculty senate meeting to voice frustrations and alternative ideas.
Where are the deans in this room? Where are the deans? Have you been having conversations about this for several months? Tell me the conversations they've been having. I found out about this yesterday. Pardon me? I found out about this yesterday.
Residual tension marked the Student Senate's meeting. Students first met with members of Senate for an hour before staff joined. Then, staff rotated tables every 10 minutes to participate in discussion and answer questions. President Feinstein, Provost Mark Anderson, and Assistant VP of Campus Community and Climate Tobias Guzman were among the attendees. They were also on Enrique Benavidez' list of people to address.
I just kind of wanted a general overview of what's actually happening with the university right now. But I want to see what they do with the reshaping and the restructuring of Mexican American studies, because as of right now, they're trying to displace us. They've already displaced Africana studies by merging them with the Student Success Center.
As an activist on campus, Enrique is no stranger to speaking up.
Student voice is the most important voice, especially in this situation, because you have teachers and you have admin, and you have all these staff that don't have tenure. You know, their jobs are replaceable. So it's up to us as students to kind of advocate for them, to be loud for them, because they necessarily can't, whereas we can.
Despite the drive to make a change, students like Enrique also reconcile with a hard truth. UNC has the final say.
Like, they already have a plan. They already know what they're going to do. And they've known what they're going to do.
Reporting from the University Center, I'm Holly McKibben with Bear News.
This week is Smart Sense Week, and one event intends to help people protect themselves from fraud. UNC's Chief Security Officer Matthew Langford is responsible for information security. He presented tips on how to protect yourself from online fraud, and scams can come from emails, text messages, and phone calls. You should be on the lookout for emails that seem unfamiliar and urgent. People should also be wary of links that ask for a username and password. And when you're surfing the web, beware of clicking on pop-ups, and when installing software to your computer, make sure to look closely at what you're installing to make sure you're not also installing unwanted programs. So how can you protect yourself from fraud? First, use a multi-factor authentication to protect your accounts. And second, make sure all your passwords are different. Now, if you're hacked, think of a recovery plan and get to know the common scams of your favorite platforms so you can avoid them.
Last week on Bear News, we talked about Black History Month being celebrated through food. Well, this week we celebrate with hair. Well, a hair show. A hair show is when hairstylists showcase their art and talent while networking with other stylists. Bear News reporter Kiana Caro had the opportunity to go to the show and network herself.
9th, CSU Fort Collins United Women of Color hosted their annual hair show. Inside the entryway of the event were two different types of hair care products. Style Factor's Edge Booster is a popular edge control brand used to style baby hairs, and Wig Out is a line of hair care products used to help with moisturizing dry hair. People attending the event with type 3A to 4C curl pattern had the chance to try samples of Style Factor's Edge Booster. Throughout the show, people were able to join a raffle for a chance to win hair care products and a free shirt. One winner, UNC student Kylie Kayembe, won the t-shirt and a bottle of Jamaican black castor oil, a type of hair oil used to strengthen, thicken, and moisturize hair. The three contestants, CSU student Cariana Tatum and UNC students DeAndre Smith and Aisha Colade, shared their work with three different judges. The themes were Back to Our Roots, It's the Future I Can See, Freestyle, and Edges on Fleek. Each stylist included intricate braiding patterns, crisp edges, and innovative takes on classic black hairstyles. When it came time to announce winners, judges briefly commented on each contestant. Tatum came in third, but won first in the freestyle round. Smith came in second, and Akolade won first place for the competition. Akolade said she was hesitant at first when she was asked to do the hair show, but she went in with the intentions to win. She said she felt so much joy to know her hard work officially paid off. In the Black community, hair is not just hair. It's an expression of culture, power, and self-love. For Akolade, it's an event that celebrates the beauty of Black women and their beautiful hair. For more Black History Month events at CSU, hosted by the Black and African American Cultural Center, visit baacc.colostate.edu. Reporting from CSU, I'm Kiana Caro for Bear News.
Round 2 of the Battle of the Bands has come and gone, but the war is far from won.
And we finally give you the lowdown on where to get those cookies we told you about. Stay tuned. When you think of staff in the School of Communication and Carter Hall, the first thing you think of is basketball, right? Well, during halftime of the UNC women's basketball game on Thursday, the two staffs faced each other in a free throw contest. 4 women staff members from the School of Communication came ready to win. Lynn Clyde Alleman, Kelly Raisley, Sherry Manweiler, and Heidi Mueller showed their support for their department with matching School of Communication shirts. Each team had 30 seconds to make as many shots as they could from behind the free throw line. Each woman from the School of Communication made at least one shot. The buzzer went off, and the winner was, it was a tie. The tiebreaker was 1 round of rock, paper, scissors. Each team sent 1 member to play the game that decided the winner. The Carter Hall representative won rock, paper, scissors against Clyde Alleman, making Carter Hall the winners of the halftime contest.
The fight for eternal glory rages on at night 2 of the 2020 Battle of the Bands, with a show-stopping performance from one funky Fort Collins troupe.
The preliminary rounds for this year's Battle of the Bands continue. This time, participating bands played at Hodie's Half Note in Fort Collins. The competition hosted a new lineup of local bands featuring a mix of rock and roll with funky rhythms.
Are you ready? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let the fight begin. Space Force.
First on stage was Space Force, a funky futuristic fusion band from what seems like deep space itself.
Tonight, are you ready? Yeah! All right, my dog ate Chad, y'all!
Next was My Dog Ate Chad, a Fort Collins-based band set on mixing alternative with punk rock for a colorful sound.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Glass Cases.
Then came Trio Glass Cases, an alternative band that even dabbled with the ukulele on stage.
Are you ready for your last band of the battle? Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, Graham Good and the Painters.
Finally, Graham Good and the Painters took the stage, a Fort Collins-based band founded in energetic funk, featuring trombone and electric keys. At the end of the night, the most fan votes went to My Dog Ate Chad. However, that didn't sway the winner of the night. The winner of the night was Graham Good and the Painters, with high numbers in both fan votes and judging scores.
The final 2 preliminary rounds are February 28th and the 29th. The 28th lineup features people in General, Lady Denim, Dream Space, Database, and Taro. The 29th lineup hosts Jellyfish Farm, Esteen and the 86D, Hannah and the Cuddies, and Playwrights. For more information, check out www.bandwagmag.com.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. And no, we don't mean Christmas. It's Girl Scout cookie season. Last Tuesday, a local Girl Scout troop stopped by the UC to sell their famous cookies. Dozens of UNC students stopped by to buy boxes of their favorite cookies to satisfy their sweet tooth. The troop sold popular cookies such as Thin Mints, Caramel Delights, and Peanut Butter Patties. They also sold their newest addition to the Girl Scout cookie family, Lemon Ups. Their most sold cookie was the fan favorite Caramel Delights, and they sold more than 100 boxes in less than 4 hours. Their goal was to sell more than 300 boxes by the end of the day. If you didn't get your Girl Scout cookie fix, just visit girlscouts.org to find out where they'll be next.
When it comes to dogs, some have a bad reputation based on stereotypes of their behavior. Dogs like pit bulls, German shepherds, and Rottweilers have the reputation for being aggressive. Not this Rottweiler, though.
This is Graham, also known as Graham Cracker. He is Karen Gilden's full-breed Rottweiler. He is also LaSalle's 3.5-year-old puppy superstar. He recently earned the Best of Opposite Sex title at the Westminster Dog Show held in New York City. Handler Rich Meisleyweck is a professional in competitive dog showing, and has been for 50 years. He describes Graham as well-balanced, or a 910. That's how Graham's breed is frequently described, a measurement for length versus height. Meisleyweck says Rottweiler's size and proportions point to their being a herding breed. Though he's young, Graham is no newcomer to competitive showing. He started in November 2018, and in 2019, he took first in the Rottweiler breed show category and the working breed group for the entire country. And the Best of Opposite Sex is not the only award on his track record. He also has 4 Best in Shows, 5 Reserve Best in Shows, and 7 Best in Specialty Show.
Show dogs like Graham typically have a career life of 2 years, which means he's got about 1 more year left to thrive in his show category. Due to Graham's scheduling, we couldn't actually meet with him, but we figured he was still worth the mention. So way to go, Graham. Can't wait to see what happens next.
Snow, snow, snow. All we've had in northern Colorado is snow. But will that continue?
And a party to kick off the new year. Might sound like old news, but it actually came a bit early. We'll tell you how after this. If you've been outdoors the past few days, you've seen the flurries flying.
So, should we accept the snow as our new normal? Or is a change on the horizon? Meteorologist Mackenzie Lake lets us know.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Mackenzie Lake, and taking a look at the storms that moved through northern Colorado yesterday, we see very, very cold conditions with just small little flurries that did give Colorado a little bit of a dusting. Those cold temperatures moved on into this morning with a high of 41 in Grand Junction, 34 in Denver, and 32 in Pueblo. Looking on right now in Greeley, we have partly cloudy skies with a high of 34 and a low of 12 degrees. Winds are coming in from the south-southwest at about 6 miles per hour, and dew point is at a whopping 84%, which did help that fog linger around a little longer this morning than we may have wanted. Going on into Friday, we do have sunny skies finally with a high of 51, a low of 23. And looking on into the weekend on Saturday, we're right back to a rain-snow mixture, about 40% chance of that with a high of 55, a low of 29. And on Sunday, right back to a 60% chance of snow with a high of 42 and a low of 24. Looking on into Monday of next week, we have cloudy skies all day that day with a high of 45 and a low in the mid-20s. So if you're going to go out there, go out on Friday and Saturday while the sun is out and take advantage of that sunshine while you can, because going on into next week, we will have very cold temperatures. And that's all I have for weather. Back to you guys.
We're all young adults and have conveniences that maybe we don't appreciate until we don't have them.
So this week, Bear News reporter John Warner asked students, would you rather not be able to use any search engines or not be able to use social media? Let's see what he found out.
I'd rather not use social media because I feel like people can live without social media and search engines are more useful.
I'd rather use search engines. I think it's more useful. I use it with my school, everyday searching.
Search engines. Because I feel like it's easier to figure out conversions for math or something on search engines than posting a picture, because to me it's not really helpful posting a picture. So yeah.
I feel like social media is draining, and while it can be a benefit, it can also be a huge downside, while search engines provide a lot of information.
Not be able to use internet. Because when you still have the resources to use your maps, so it's easier for you to calculate where you're going at all times.
Social media. I just feel like when it comes to social media, it's more bias-based, and there's not that much research done behind it. People just look at certain things and assume certain things.
I personally would rather only be on social media and not be able to use any search engine.
I would definitely not use social media. I already don't use social media. I feel like I have most of my social media apps deleted off my phone because they're nothing but a waste of time. And I search things constantly, so I would die if I couldn't use Google.
I would much rather prefer to use search engines over social media.
I feel like I rely on search engines a lot to get my information, especially for school and just general life stuff. I mean, social media just kind of adds more stress to it.
If you have any would you rather questions, be sure to submit them to any of our social media pages.
January 25th is the Chinese Lunar New Year, and 2020 is the Year of the Rat. While the new year might not technically start until this coming Tuesday, that didn't stop UNC's Asian Pacific American Student Services group from celebrating a bit early. The APAS crew and about 100 more students, staff, and family members filled the campus commons for the celebration. This was the 13th time the group hosted the event, and 2020 is the year of the rat. They served traditional food, much to the enjoyment of everyone in attendance, and the evening included other activities like games, coloring, and even making your own lantern. Then things got loud. A performance put on by Colorado Asian Culture Heritage Center featured drums, cymbals, dancing, and more. Dragons roamed through the crowd, giving an immersive experience to young and old alike. Members of the APAS even got to try their hand at carrying the high-flying creature. Now, as we said, 2020 is the year of the rat, which means a few things. The last time there was a year of the rat was 12 years ago in 2008, and then 12 years before that in 1996. And people born in the year of the rat are said to be optimistic and energetic. The rat is seen as a symbol of wealth and surplus in Chinese culture. And actually, our good friend Ben Shoemate gave us these fortune cards, and fortunately, I got a little impatient and scratched mine off early. And mine says, your efforts and wisdom are the sources of wealth.
That's perfect, awesome. And mine says there are some interesting things that happen in every Saturday.
Sounds like being a 96 baby just might pay off this year. Now, you might not think that it's sports weather outside, but the Bears have been busy on the courts, fields, and track.
Our not Matt Jenkins sports anchor Andrew Shugru has all the scores and highlights you need to know after this.
The women's tennis team aced this weekend's matches, while the men took another defeat. Despite starting on a losing streak, the two matches they played this weekend came up as victories, and they now have a better record than the men. On Saturday, the men lost their match 5-2 against Idaho State. Thomas Pudney proved himself once again, winning 4 singles, and sophomore John Gibsperts won his singles match at 5 singles. This was the first Big Sky meet for the men's team, but also their first home meet at the Parker Racquetball Club. This is the Bears' new indoor facility. The women also got a chance to try the new home court, but they found themselves performing much, much better than the men. In a doubleheader against Metro State and CSU Pueblo on Sunday, the Bears didn't give a single point to their opponents. When first facing Metro, the Bears won 4-0, and against Pueblo, 7-0. 3 matches went unfinished against the Roadrunners, but when facing the Mountain Lions, the Bears swept the courts, only seeing a loss at #1 doubles. Extra kudos to Sinclair Larson, who didn't lose a single game in her match against Pueblo. The next UNC tennis match for the women on Saturday, and they'll face University of Idaho. The men have a week off until they face Eastern Washington on Friday the 28th. It's a whole lot easier to win a basketball game when you shoot 65% from the field, and the UNC Bears needed every last point Saturday when they played Sacramento State. The offensive clicked, hitting 2/3 of their shots, but it was the Bears' defense that made the right plays at the right time, as UNC held off Sacramento State 68-65. Coming out of a half with a 6-point lead, the Bears made their next 10 baskets, but Sacramento State kept it close and had multiple tries to tie the game in the last minute 15. But UNC's transition defense was too hard to match. And your Big Sky frontrunner Jonah Rodabog had himself a day on the court, racking up 21 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds with 1 steal. Walking away from the nest calls for an audience at the Bank of Colorado Arena against Southern Utah tonight at 7. And if you can't make it, you can catch the game on Channel 541 or 1310 KFKA. UNC's women's basketball team hit the bricks on Thursday night as they lost to Northern Arizona University 71-60. The Bears led the Lumberjacks 28-16 in the first quarter, but it wasn't long until NAU gained the momentum they needed to take control of the game and lead the rest of the game. Despite the loss, some of the Bears put on impressive performances. Alicia Davis scored 16 points, Alexis Chapman got 15, and Allie Mayer added 12 points of her own. The loss clearly didn't knock the Bears down, because on Saturday, the Bears then went up against the Sacramento State Hornets. Rebounding from the Northern Arizona loss, the Bears beat the Hornets 90-73. Davis led the Bears once again with 22 points, followed closely by Jasmine Gales, who added 21. Even more congratulations to Gales for being 5 for 5 with the three-pointers. Trailing Davis and Gales for points were Michaela Eisenbert and Kirsten Harden, who both put up 11 points. The Bears lead each quarter except for the fourth, and they finished the first half with a 20-point lead. UNC women's basketball next plays tonight at Southern Utah at 6:30 p.m. And they'll be back home to face Idaho State at 2 p.m. Saturday. The softball team keeps having a rough time on the diamond, and it didn't end when they traveled to Albuquerque for the Susan Craig Classic. The Bears went 0-2 on one day, losing to UC Santa Barbara 18-10 in 8 innings, and later to New Mexico 12-3 in 5 innings. But the Bears wouldn't quit. The next day, they had another date with UC Santa Barbara that started out with the Gauchos scoring a quick RBI in the first inning and adding 3 more in the third. The Bears got back into the game in the 6th as Lauren Stathern led off with the infield single. Later, Maddie Young knocked a double into left field that scored 2 runs, pulling within 4-3 of UC Santa Barbara. 8th winning now, Natalie Joyner delivered the most clutch hit of the day, bringing Paula Villegas to give the Bears a 5-4 lead. Lainey Hanahan's pitching shut down the UCSB offense in the 8th, and UNC took the W. Their next 2 dates against New Mexico and for a third time in UCSB didn't go well, as the Bears lost to the Lobos 8-3 and the Gauchos 2-0. The Bears will now head to Beaumont, Texas, February 21st through the 23rd for the Lamar University tournament against Lamar and St. John's. Now, to me, running is hard, whether it's a short or long distance. But to these Bears, running against some of the best in country just made them go faster. Fast enough to run some of the best times in the Big Sky Conference. The track and field programs ran in the Tyson Invitational this past weekend at the University of Arkansas. Both the men and women's 4x400 teams ran fast enough to post the top 2 times in the conference. Now ranking first in the conference, Victoria Osipenko, Khaleesi Schutz, Gabrielle Elias, and Mackenzie Pettit, who finished in 3 minutes and 48.16 seconds. With the second best time in the Big Sky, DeAndre Ratter, Cameron Ross, Kyle Thomas, and Antoine Cotes completed in theirs in 3 minutes, 16.56 seconds, running a personal record of the 200 of 24.84 seconds. Schwartz moved to 4th in the Big Sky. Moving to 6th in the conference, Kyle Thomas ran the 400 meter in 48.60 seconds. Finally, from the Tyson Invitational, the best individual time, or should I say length, came from a long jumper. Kylie Chavez jumped 5.66 meters, which totals out to 18 feet and 7 inches. That jump moves her to 2nd in the Big Sky's performance list. Before the Big Sky Indoor Championships, the Bears run in 1 more meet at the Air Force. Collegiate Open this weekend.
That does it for our show tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to be on the lookout for our reporters in the field and follow us on social media. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful weekend.